First of all, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, just some background.
Right. So my name is Mustafa. I initially used to live in Karachi for like a very long time. I lived in Karachi for like the first 7 years of my life. I had to move
Mhm.
to Saudi after that, and then I lived most of my conscious life over there. And then I had to move to Pakistan recently, which is I think why you guys are doing this interview. So
Yeah.
I'm currently studying in LUMS, Law University of Management Sciences. But
Okay.
it's been pretty cool so far.
Okay, that
It's
sounds
pretty
nice.
cool. So I think let's go on with your introduction now.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So, so first of all, what was the first impression for the area that you're currently living in? What were you thinking? How did you feel? Just can you explain that to us?
Yeah. So actually from Karachi. So whenever I used to visit Pakistan, I
Yeah.
usually used to go to Karachi. So it was my first time coming to Lahore in like 10 years. So it was actually not it was actually really nice. Lahore was it's
Mhm.
really changed from the last time that I came here. So it was really great seeing the development and like the new construction and the fact that
Yeah.
it's really pretty. Lahore is actually really, really nice. So initially I was very scared कि Pakistan में तो ये होता है. Is it okay if I speak in Urdu a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Go ahead.
So पाकिस्तान में तो ये होता है वो होता है terrorism होता है बुरे हालात में it was nothing like
Mhm.
that. I think everything on social media and like especially the people that live outside of Pakistan, everything's severely exaggerated, and which I think
Mhm.
is really sad to think about, but when you do come to Pakistan, everything's not as bad as it sounds. So
Yeah, I agree.
everything it was actually a really, really nice experience coming to Lahore, experiencing new culture, meeting new people. It was something
Yeah.
that was really great.
Okay, that's awesome. So, the next question we have for you is what's the most significant difference that you've noticed between your previous environment and your current environment? Like,
Right. So I come as I mentioned, I came from Saudi Arabia. So
yeah.
over there, it's like a very Saudi dominated environment.
Mm,
Kind of feel like being a Pakistani isn't exactly a privilege over there. So over
yeah.
there, Saudi people generally have the overhand when it comes to everything, salaries,
Okay.
finances, social control, and everything. So when you come and it's like Arabic dominated, like it's everybody mostly speaks Arabic over there. So when I come to Pakistan, it's more of like this feeling of equality. So everybody's the
Mhm.
same here. You kind of have you're no longer being dominated by other people. But again, it's
Yeah.
also the financial restraints here. Okay, Saudi they have a lot of money, so everything is like very controlled that way. So they have. I mean, just the fact that it's getting warmer out there now, they're having artificial rain, and they have the
Yeah.
financial ability to be able to control all of that is pretty cool. And then in Pakistan, we have like a lot of financial problems, as in like
Yeah.
when it comes to society buildings and a lot of that stuff you kind of notice it when you're just roaming the roads as well. So I think the financial divide and the cultural differences in the people and they're not racist over here, so I like that.
Next question, Asma, can you please?
Yes. Assalamu alaikum. It's really
Walaikum
nice to
salam.
meet you.
Very nice to meet you
I'll
guys too.
start with did anyone do anything to make you feel welcome?
Yeah, I feel like people are actually really welcoming in Pakistan. So over there in Saudi, the thing is, a lot of the people, they're great people, but they're like not the most expressive or the vocal about things. So in Pakistan, obviously relatives are always going to be nice to you when you come around. But just
Yeah.
besides that, it's just the shopkeepers that meet you warmly, and like it's the fact that everybody is, have you ever heard the term NPC as a non-player characters in
Yeah,
video
yeah,
games?
yeah,
So
definitely.
in Saudi, it's more like that. There's a lot of
Okay.
characters roaming everywhere because of the linguistic divide, as you can't speak Arabic nearly as fluent as Urdu or English. So
Mhm.
it's like you can't really interact with those players. So, but in Pakistan, everybody is more alive than I think
Yeah,
you
I get
would
what you mean. Like you
necessarily.
can interact more.
Yeah,
It's more
yeah,
relatable in
exactly.
that sense.
It's more relatable. Everybody's from the same cultural background as you. They
Yeah,
understand you the same way that you speak. So I think that was really, really nice.
yeah.
So just shopkeepers talking to people on the street. It's been a good experience so far.
Okay, that's awesome. The next question.
Why
Um,
to go ahead?
Yeah, thank you.
yeah. Can you explain to us a few of the major issues and barriers that you faced and that came in the way with you adjusting?
Yeah, I'll probably have to think about that. Because
Yeah.
I think coming to so I again, as I mentioned, I had to move countries twice before. So once when it was to Pakistan, from Pakistan to Saudi, and the second time was from Saudi to Pakistan. I think the second time it was a lot better because I was more mature, I was older, I can handle myself better. But I think the first time when I moved to from Pakistan to Saudi, would that still be relevant if I was to quote that?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So when moving from Pakistan to Saudi, that was initially one of the biggest challenges I faced because
Okay.
everybody over there had I was smaller, so it was going to be harder to cope anyways. So everybody over there, I had to move to a school with Arabs and I did not speak their language. I don't get along
Okay, so that
very well
must
with
have been
people at
very
all.
difficult.
That was much harder than this time because
Okay.
I had experience with it and knew how to deal with
Hmm.
it this time. So I had to move to a different school with different people, Arab, like everybody spoke Arabic. So it was very hard to get along with people. The first
Right.
couple of years, I didn't make any friends. So that was the primary factor. The rest of the things you don't really notice as a child, but there are multiple factors that come into play. There's the fact that you have to leave all your family and friends behind and then
Oh,
adjust to new
yes.
people, new
Totally.
settings, new belongings. It's a different culture overall and everything, new system of everything. So that becomes very difficult to handle as a child. But like with time, you get used to it and you adapt and you
Yeah,
adjust.
totally.
But yeah, it's really it's kind of shakes you when you
Yeah.
initially move. So but this time when I came to Lahore, it was a lot better because again I'm older and I know how to handle. I knew people here, so it always helps when you know somebody here. Like for example, I had a couple of friends moving in with me from Saudi to Lums,
Mhm.
so it was kind of nice that way I had people along by my side to help me through. But initially, I think Lums in particular is very different from the rest of Lahore in general. Like the people here are
Mhm.
a lot of the people here come from outside too. So I think in that sense
Okay.
it wasn't the hardest to settle in. But considering the rest of Pakistan as everything has its ups and downs. So everything
Yeah.
has a good side and a bad side. There's brilliant things about Pakistan. So the people here, as I mentioned before, and the fact that you feel equal and like you're treated the same as everybody else is something very incredible to me, which I kind of
Mhm.
missed in Saudi. I really, really miss in Saudi. So those are the two things that I really liked. But then everything comes with the caveats. And Pakistan, there's a couple of things that you have to keep in mind that you never had to think about while I was living in Saudi. For example, like getting mugged on the street. So I have to be careful what I'm carrying with me, when I'm carrying it, who I'm going out with.
Okay.
There's like little
Yeah.
things like that. And then there's like the dishonesty in some people that you have to sometimes deal with. यार इसका तो accent है तो उससे 3,000 के बजाय 5,000 रुपए मांग लो. So
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to be careful about a couple of things. And those things are as sad as it is, there's something you have to deal with. Every country has those.
Yeah,
Pakistan has them
definitely.
of a different kind. So there's a couple. So you have to like understand how the law works, what people to
Yeah.
interact with, what areas not to go to, how to financially, because we used to initially when I came, you thought of everything in Saudi Riyal and everything looked really cheap. यार यहाँ पे तो पानी 1 रियाल का यहाँ पे तो क्या कहते हैं पूरा खाना 3 रियाल में मिल जाता है. That's so cheap.
Yeah.
But like when you start to sit down and analyze everything, you realize it's not the same. You can't really convert everything into the reals divided by 73, and it's not the same thing. So you have to understand how to make intelligent financial decisions. So and I think that really helped too. And other than that, it's a different means of communicating with people and like learning to assess people and building connections with people. And I think it's really, really great. It's very different, but also it's really interesting
Yeah.
to get along with people, make new friends.
Assalamualaikum. Hello.
Walaikum
So
salam.
my question to you is like, how would you have been deal with these barriers like if you were a child?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, when I was a child, these were much, much harder. So when I had dealt with these before, these weren't as easy to overcome because obviously you're a little child, so you're not going to be having the same thought process that you have right now. So at the time, it was very difficult for me. I spent years without having any friends. So I think initially it really, really helps if you have somebody that moves with you, somebody especially if it's your age. Parents don't count. I mean, they're amazing, but like they don't really count because they have their own things that they have to go through. So like having somebody that like for example, even siblings, I think they can really help you get through this if you have like an older
Yeah.
brother and older sister. I did not,
Or
but
some
if you
friends
did, I
like
think it
you?
really helps you. Sorry?
Or do you think like if you have some friends like you would be able to cope better with them?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Especially if you have friends, so you have just that sense of you have company to help you through. अगर कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा तो you can refer to them. कि यार उनका भी यही मसला हो रहा था. I'll feel less terrible about myself now. So I think that's and like and you have to have like some sort of support functions. My parents, like, they help me through everything. Even they don't count in that sense, but like, yeah, you have to have somebody that stands by your side when you don't when you're not really getting attention from the outside world. You can't really make friends at school or in the compound, or like
Yeah,
interact
just like
with
an inner
teachers the same
support
way that you can.
system for yourself, like friends and
Absolutely, you have to
family.
have that support system.
Yeah,
Yeah, you have to have either parents allows me. You need that. You need that for
yeah,
support system.
definitely.
Besides that, friends really do help. And after that, I especially moving to a country where English and Urdu aren't the primary spoken languages, so
Yeah.
the dominant language. So I really recommend learning their language, because if I had learned Arabic earlier on instead of like stretching it out to literally the last year that I've spent in
Yeah.
Saudi, though I think it would have significantly helped. And that really helps you deal with a lot of people if it's either in a shop or a market or like in school. So even just making friends to like negotiating prices at a at a
Yeah,
store, it
yeah.
really changed things.
So it was definitely like the language barrier that kind of interfered most of the
It
time
was
you
a
were in
language
Saudi,
and the cultural
right?
barrier, and the fact that they're all Saudis and they have like
Yeah, there's just that
this,
like visible difference, I
rope with that.
guess.
But yeah, definitely, right.
Okay,
Okay.
so my next question is like, how long did it actually take you to overcome these issues and like adjust here, being familiar with it?
Okay, so in Lahore, it wasn't that big of, well, it didn't take me that long to adjust. So I had a lot of friends. I had quite a few people who came in with me from Saudi to Lahore. Everybody has an adaptation period, so it takes some time to adjust to a new culture, new changes, new people adjusting. So I came in from the school, Pakistan International School from Saudi. So over there we had an all boys school. So a lot of us didn't even know how to talk to the girls, like even in a casual method. So I
Yeah.
kind of adapted quickly, and I had other friends जो इस दिन तक मतलब वो regularly converse with you guys, which everybody has like this different adaptation period. So that definitely depends on you. So there's not a yes and a no question. That's not a black, that answer does not have a black and white answer to it. So it definitely takes different people different amounts of time.
Yeah.
So I think that, and the fact that you have to like be confident in what you're doing and just understand that this is not going to be the same thing and be ready to adapt to the change. So I think that's all that really matters. And then you just kind of, if you have a couple of friends that come with you and you're dealing with them, but I don't think it takes you that long to adjust. So Lahore in particular wasn't that big of an adjustment period. Lums के अंदर तो बहुत different से माहौल होता है ना, so it's closer to Saudi than the rest of Pakistan. But outside of Lums, I think even that it didn't take me that long, because Pakistan has come a long way since the past couple of years. Though especially Lahore has been, it's pretty nice. So I don't think it took me that long. So that child very good.
Yeah, so
Yeah. So
basically,
expat child.
yeah.
Go
Basically,
on.
after having a basic overview, do you think that's something you can like relate to, having trouble adjusting in new areas and having it affect you mentally, like after having a basic overview on expat child syndrome?
Oh yeah. So I think it was, again, as I said, it was more applicable to me when I moved to
Hmm.
Saudi when I was
Yeah,
young. So expat child syndrome, I was a child at the time. So
yeah,
I would consider that more. Yeah. So I think it would definitely, it's 100%. It's very true and relevant to what I experienced, because you're in a new country, new culture. You're kind of alone when you're disconnected from all of your friends, all of your family.
yeah,
They're like a 6 hour flight away. So it's not the most gratifying feeling in the world. So it is kind of intimidating looking this whole new world, new buildings, new अब
hmm,
सड़कें याद नहीं रहती आपको कि आपको रास्ते, if you get lost, what do you do? So
yeah,
it's definitely very intimidating at the beginning, but you kind of start to get used to it. It definitely
hmm,
takes time. Again, as I mentioned, with a support system and a couple of friends just that you make,
yeah,
just a little bit of that push can help you through all of that. So I it is very intimidating, but again, it takes time, and everybody adjusts. It takes
yeah.
it,
With time, everything can happen.
yeah, absolutely.
So the final question, what advice would you give to other students who might be dealing with the same issue?
Right. So, as intimidating as it may seem right now,
Mhm.
it's never gonna sort of stay that bad. You just have to be confident in what you're doing. You have to understand that there is gonna be a change, and I have to accept that change, and I need to
Yeah.
be ready to able to adapt to that change. So, and besides that, it's just make friends, as many friends as you can, get close to people, learn their language if you can. Learning their language will make a hell of a difference. It's gonna
Yeah,
make everything a lot easier. If
definitely.
you are fortunate enough to go to a country where you already know their language, then just converse with people. Like converse with people, become friends with teachers. Teachers से
Hmm.
दोस्तियां करो वहाँ पे. If you have family there, get close to them. I think that's all
Yes.
that really matters. The rest of that just comes naturally.